Hey Riley Besties, welcome back to the Writing with Annie podcast where we talk about all things writing. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to stick to your current project without moving on to a new shiny book idea. This is something that I am struggling with right at this moment, literally right now. So I think it's very fitting for me to talk about how I'm dealing with it and how you can deal with it too. And just I know it's a bad thing, of course, because you're a writer. If you continuously have these ideas, you're never going to finish a book. But then again, it's a good thing because it's basically saying that you have a lot of ideas, you can't keep track of them. Okay, so basically you're creative, but also you have attachment issues. Maybe, I don't know. But let's go ahead and get on to this episode. Okay, so first up, find the problem. Why are you wanting to start a new project? Why do you think you're kind of getting a little bit distracted? Why do you think you want to drop or shelve this current project you're working on? Is it because you may be confused with what you're writing? Is it because maybe you haven't plotted enough? Or maybe you're just confused about the ending of your book? Or maybe it's boredom, or maybe it's a growth thing, or your characters, you don't like your characters, maybe that's a problem, or maybe it's a scene you're writing and you simply don't like it. These are very valid points to why you don't want to write your book. And sometimes it's okay, and sometimes you need to figure out from this and decide from these problems if it's worth it to move on to a project. And usually if you have these particular problems, I'm going to say right now, no, it's not worth it right now. However, if it is something like growth, like if you're maybe just growing out of that genre, or maybe it is simply boredom and you're not so much inspired or excited about the project, usually it's kind of like a 50-50. You can maybe stick with this project, which I do encourage you guys to do, and I'll get into that throughout this episode. But for now, definitely stick to your writing project now. I encourage you guys, please stick to your project. Okay. So I guess the next step, of course, is deciding, should I stick? Should I catch the wagon of that cool idea? It seems extremely enticing, I know, but I'm going to go through some sort of steps that kind of help me get re-inspired to stick to that writing project that you're working on right now. So the first thing to do is to kind of, honestly, this helps a lot, and I do this a lot, is basically when you have a new idea and you're kind of getting tempted to start it, it's to simply start that book. Write the first chapter, write a brainstorm, write something to do with that, and realize you don't have it thought out. And yeah, just kind of pantser the first chapter, and you'll kind of realize how maybe not thought out your project is, that new idea is, sorry, or maybe just how, oh, it's okay, but I kind of miss my characters sort of thing. And I think that honestly helped me a lot when I wanted to plot this random book idea that just came out of nowhere. And I'm just you know what? I'm going to try to write it, at least just kind of get it out of my system sort of thing. And that helped me just realign back to my own project. Okay. So the next thing that you can do is actually brain and outline the ending of your current book. Okay. So basically before you kind of got it out of your system. So you're okay, now I'm not so much excited to write about that project so much anymore. Let's go ahead and refocus onto this current project. And what you're doing is basically outlining the ending of your book. Just the ending. Even if you're halfway through or at the start of the book, outline how your book ends, because usually, even if it is subconscious, sometimes you're just I don't know how this book's going, or I'm getting uninspired, and that's usually as a result of not knowing how your book's going to end and being subconsciously kind of scared about it. And this helps me a lot when I know exactly how the book is going to end. And something that helps, especially if you want to go a step further, is to actually write the last scene. It doesn't have to actually be a written chapter, but it can be just a brainstorm of what the scene looks like, what the characters are saying, what's going to happen. And this helps me so much when I am kind of just a bit stressed about how my project's going and I don't have a lot of faith in it. I just make a really epic ending. I'm just you know what? I'm going to get there. And that's obviously how you get through your book and finish it. It's by getting a clear idea of the ending of your book, so you actually get inspired and motivated to get there. That makes sense, right? So this is probably like the biggest tip I have for like literally any project also, just to literally brainstorm and write the last scene so you actually have an idea of where you're going. Does that make sense? I think it's kind of self-explanatory. Okay. Next thing is to actually brainstorm the sort of three-act structure, which kind of helps a lot. I think just having a general idea of the three main plot beats of your story, and these are like the main ones, like the big ones, the big plot beats that make your story work, that make your story progress. And I think just having those in mind, or at least just kind of like writing them down, do the little diagram where it's like the three-act structure, you know what I mean? The little graph going upwards, just do that, and that will help you get more of a clarity sort of thing of like where your book is going and where you're at currently, so you know where to go from now. Does that make sense? The next thing that you can do, and this is probably something that you could have done before or maybe after, when you are kind of understanding, okay, I have it plotted out, okay, I know where it's going, I have that all done. Now it's the easy part, and that is getting inspired. Get inspired to write your book again. And of course, it's not going to be matched to how you felt, of course, at the start of your project where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But still, this will help so much. So look at those old Pinterest pages you made, or make it your own, make a new one that usually works, or listen to some music that is around that. For example, Project O. I love that project that I'm working on right now, and I like to listen to classical music because it's set in the 1800s. So of course, that's very fitting, and the whole story is about music. So that's obviously going to help me get inspired to imagine scenes and get excited about my characters, right? It's kind of self-explanatory, but a lot of people don't do this. The next thing is to actually reread your book. So in terms of getting inspired by your project, reread what you've already written. And 10 times out of 10, or at least 9 times out of 10, you will get inspired by what you've written, basically. And you will actually be like, oh my gosh, I love that scene. Or like, oh my gosh, this sentence was really well written. You know, those little things really do help, and it usually motivates you. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, like, what did I just write? Oh my gosh, what is this? But most times it's like, oh my gosh, this is kind of cool. Okay, trust me with this one. Okay. The last thing that you can do to get re-inspired to continually continually write your current project is to literally talk about it. Literally talk about it. Something that I do weirdly is actually sometimes pretend I'm in like an interview, and like I pretend that my book's already published, and I pretend there's like a the interviewer interviewing me, and they're like, Anna, like, wow, like, what made you start this project? Like, what was the message you want to, write with this project? And I like explain, like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I didn't know I was going to be like such a big success. Like, it's really stupid. You're probably looking at me like, Anna, what the heck? But some people do it. I do it. Sometimes it helps. And just like imagining the ending of that project. It's something really inspiring. And I think talking about your project, either to your writing friends, your random friends, your mom, your dad, your cat, or a imaginary interviewer, just do it. It works. Okay. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about is all the good things, and all the good things that basically I want you to I want you to finish your current project right now for these reasons. Okay, so these are kind of like the pros. I'm not going to be going into the cons because I just want you guys to continually write your book and finish it, and don't stop till you finish, because I know very well that if you start a new shiny idea in the middle of a project, there's like a big chance that you're never going to go back. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So the three main things that I think are very big pros to where you are at in your project, and why you should continually write it and see the end to it, is to, one, you're gonna forget that project. Like, you are literally gonna forget like how the characters are, how you are writing it. You're gonna forget, like, even just the story. Like, this happens a lot to me as well. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened in that book. So that's a really bad thing, of course, if you forget. And it's obviously more efficient when you think about it in the long run, that like, hey, I'm probably gonna like just finish this book, so I know like I'm in the headspace to write it. So then if I go back and like I'm just starting it again, but also like in the middle, So it kind of feels awkward. So do that for your future self, basically. The second thing you should keep in mind of like why you should continue is that it's good practice. It's literally good practice to continue what you started, to finish what you started, basically. There's an airplane. Thank you very much. I'm gonna keep talking. No, it's actually very distracting. I'm gonna wait. Can you guys hear that? You guys probably can't. Anyways, yeah, so it's good practice, guys. It's good practice. So when you start a new project, you will finish it because it's just gonna be like running after your own feet. You know what I mean? You're just gonna have to like continuously come up with new book ideas and never finish. And that's the most like relatable thing I've ever said out loud, but still, it's something that I learned the hard way, okay? The last thing, of course, is very similar, and that is basically there's something so beautiful about starting what you finish and just seeing that full circle. And that's honestly the one thing that motivates me to finish a book when I don't want to finish it is just the satisfaction I get from seeing the full circle of the story. And there are times, for example, that you can finish a story early or earlier than you expected, but there's still a satisfaction there of like seeing that whole book come to an end and you can kind of like say goodbye to it for a little bit, if that makes sense. And I think that's something that I really, really, really love and that helps me so much. So yeah, that's the episode. I hope this inspired you to actually finish your current work in progress. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry if I talked really fast on this episode. I don't know why. I was just really excited to get into it. Also, it's very, very hot in my room and I have like I can't open all my windows or anything because obviously like things in this episode distracted you, like someone downstairs with cutlery or like the aeroplane. So I'm sorry, I'm working in very bad conditions. Okay, so yeah, I'm not meaning to complain, but just like be thankful, please, because I'm really hot and I'm probably just like really like wanting to finish this episode. But of course, I really do enjoy talking to you guys and I love it. I just can't wait till it's winter so I can actually speak normally without worrying about fainting in my room because I need to shut all my windows or else it's too noisy for me to record. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Please finish your book. Again, just please do it for my sake. For my sake, okay. Anyways, I love you guys so much. Sorry for the chaotic episode and I hope to see you in my next writing episode. Okay, bye-bye!